attraction to crypto is, oh, I can make some quick money from this. It's hustle, bustle, entrepreneur life, that's kind of my deal. You become good at trading when it becomes boring to you. In that cycle, I got out one day before the market crashed. Nobody else cares, but it wasn't because of skill. It was just luck.
Welcome to the Bitget Show. I'm your host, Vugar Usi, and today we're gonna little bit travel, little bit chill, and talk about trades. Hi, Annii.
Hello.
Week ago, we were in Vietnam doing this beautiful production, like an actual traveling. Today, we are in Dubai.
Yeah.
You have such a jet-setter life.
Tomorrow, I'll be in Iceland.
Iceland.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're gonna see the Northern Lights.
Yes, that's my goal.
That's my bucket list.
Yeah.
Oh my God, now I'm jealous.
I
Now
hope
I'm
I see
really
them.
jealous.
Really excited.
You love traveling. Tell me about what's your, if you were a city, which city you would be?
Oh, if I was a city, I think I would be New York because it's hustle, bustle, entrepreneur life. That's kind of my deal. I actually love business. So
Building yourself from ground up. If you're going to do it here, you can do it everywhere.
That's right.
And how did you end up in crypto?
How did I end up in crypto? It's actually by accident. I inherited some shares from my grandparents. So my whole family have always been investors. And I inherited these shares when my grandfather passed away, and I didn't know what to do with them. I didn't know how to sell them. So I had to start joining investment groups on Facebook to try and learn how to sell these shares. And through reading posts in the group, I saw some people were talking about Bitcoin, didn't know what it was. So started doing some research, and I came across Andreas Antonopoulos, who, is just a big advocate of Bitcoin, not a trader, he just really believes in the technology. And so listening to how he described Bitcoin, I just went, oh, I love that. I love the whole idea of freedom, of, no one being able to control you. That's what I'm attracted to. I'm an absolute rebel at heart. Don't tell me what to do. So Bitcoin was made for me.
And you sold the shares and got some Bitcoin?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't sell the shares immediately. I kept them for a little while, but yeah, I ended up going to buy my first Bitcoin, and it was in the days where you couldn't just buy it online. You had to go and deposit money into a bank account and then email someone and then get this paper wallet address and hope that it turned up in your wallet. And yeah, it was kind of crazy back then.
Like I love talking to like people who came, because I came to crypto in 2017 when I exited like a startup, and like I discovered it when I wanted to, invest my money that I won't lose, and like kind of a hedging method. But yeah, I'm so fascinated. Like today, centralized exchanges, wallet, decentralized, like you can literally buy and sell in a second. Back in times,
it wasn't that easy. It was a definite trust system. You didn't know who you were buying it from. You didn't know if it was going to turn up, you didn't know if you were keeping it safe. Everything was on paper.
That's so cool. But did you make a lot of money? Especially if you bought Bitcoin so early, you must have, right?
In my first bull market, I didn't know what I was doing, so by the time the 2017 cycle came around, some Australian brokerage, I was living in Australia back then, Australian brokerages came around and you could just buy, and we were buying them at such high prices, but we didn't know, there was such a markup using those types. It's not like using an exchange. And so we would just buy things because it was the easiest way to get money from your bank account onto that to then buy whatever you want. But everything was spot, there was no leverage or anything like that. So, but things were just growing so exponentially that you could make money so easily. It was almost like you could just buy anything and you were going to make, it didn't even matter what it was, and then all of a sudden, bang, that ended. But I was lucky because in that cycle, I got out one day before the market crashed. But it wasn't because of skill. It was just luck. Like I was too busy and I couldn't run my business because I had a number of businesses at the time. I couldn't run them and manage crypto, and something had to go, and crypto was a hobby. So I had to give up the hobby. And it's literally, I remember waking up at 2 a.m. looking at XRP chart, and it was just and I was just like, because I literally just got out before bed that day.
You're the first person who ever admits that it was a luck, because everyone's like, oh, I knew it
Oh,
coming.
yeah.
It's like,
No.
I always buy the lowest. I always sell the highest.
yeah. Nah, that one was pure luck. But it made me very intrigued to understand why it happened, because nobody thought the cycle was ending then. You know, CME was coming in, and everybody thought that it was just going to go on forever. And it was like now with the spot ETFs, everyone's like, oh, this is just so bullish. And it is bullish long term. But we didn't think it was going to end back then on the day that it launched, and it ended on the day that they launched. And that's what made me start to investigate how markets work and why did that happen, because it was opposite to what any of us thought was going to happen.
Like, how do you think, like, how one can even predict the market?
I truly believe that Bitcoin is better if you time it rather than try to predict by price. So I managed to get out of the last cycle 4 days before, and that one was skill. That one was skill.
Okay, tell me more about that.
That one, and it's actually like I did a YouTube video on it 4 days before the top was in, and told everyone, get your exit plan now. Like, we want to be out, you know, pretty soon. And the only thing, like, every model that people have put together with Bitcoin in particular had broken in the last bear market that we just had, you know, like the I've forgotten the names, but anyway, basically every historical chart pattern that people have come up with has not played out in the last bear market that we had. But the only thing that hasn't yet broken is the timing. So the cycle timing. So the bottom of the bear market was due in November of 2022, I think it is now. And that's when we got it, you know, and so it didn't matter. And I use liquidity a lot to decide where the bottom was in. So I was doing TikToks a month before we went to 15,600 saying we're not going to 12, but we could go to 15,600. Almost nailed it within $100 range. And I couldn't tell you when, but according to the cycle, it should have been soon. And that ended up coming in, I'm pretty sure it was November. But the same thing, you know, the top of the last bull market was due in that month, or, you know, around that month. And the top of the next one is due in September of 2025. So we're just going to chill now, you know, fill our bags and chill.
You know, I was thinking the other day, because my favorite thing, I have an economics background. My favorite thing is to check like what's the like a market cap of the day, and how entire crypto industry is doing, right? It's like a 1.6 trillion, 1.7 trillion % up and down. Why don't we see that pie growing, even though price is going up?
Good question. Because retail haven't come in yet. And this is what's crazy, because we've essentially been in a bull market for a year now, right? And nobody else is talking about it other than people who hung around from the last bear market, the people who were never going to leave no matter what. They're still the only people that are here. The whole ETF news has only excited people who were already in crypto. Nobody else cares.
Exactly. And also, funny enough, the fake or whatever, the tweet pumped Bitcoin to 48. But then when actual approval happened, it didn't went that high.
Yes. But you want to know what was really funny? I actually did a tweet that day before it happened saying that there is a very high level of sell orders at 48K. And we went exactly to 48K and then bang, straight back down. And it was spot orders, which I don't normally look at. But when they're spot orders, it tells me a bigger message, because people are wanting to offload investments. You know, they're not just futures trading. So I was like, why are investors wanting to sell? And this is like, the order was this is not normal people. This is not, you know, you and me selling Bitcoin at 48K. This is big money was selling at 48K. And those orders were there 24 hours before that tweet happened. Somebody knew something.
People do new things from insiders. Even all this news come and go. And like, because prior to joining Bitget, I used to work at Being Crypto and news media, and we would definitely know things before.
Yeah, 100%. I always say that the news doesn't come first. The news is designed to fuel what the plan was anyway.
definitely. And like crypto market is so prone to that one
Yeah.
tweet, one
Yeah.
news,
It's easy.
even like several months back, there was this intern on Cointelegraph, I think, if I'm not mistaken, like
Yes.
put something, like
Yes.
all these small manipulations. I think it's like a two techniques, right? One is
Yeah.
to like look at the pulse of the market to understand what can
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
to which direction. Another is that, as you mentioned, like
Yeah.
actually put the plan into action.
Yeah. And it's just funny how that always happens when there is a lot of open leverage positions that need to be washed out. Like it just, oh, how coincidental, you know?
But as we are talking about this, like a big money whales buying and selling, offloading
Yeah.
investments, and now with the ETFs being approved, where do you see the industry going, considering that there are more monies? For example, BlackRock, they manage more money than
Yeah.
entire crypto industry. It means like they can just eat it in a single
Mm.
bite, you know, and
Yeah.
won't choke.
I know. Look, I think that it is long-term bullish. Short-term, we have to wait and see. You know, it's a matter of, I guess, charting every day and taking each day as it comes. But, you know, is this going to lead to the pullback that we all wanted? Maybe, and great if it does. I can tell you, like, they're similar to that liquidity that I was talking about. There is a lot of that sitting at around the 38K mark currently. So if it is a matter of just bringing price down to cause a lot of liquidations for them to fill their bags, that's where it's sitting at right now. If it got worse than that, there is other liquidity around 32, but I'm not so sure that that's worth going for. But right now, my stance on crypto is I don't care how low it goes. It's a buy opportunity for me. So I'm very much, you know, I'm a day trader, so I trade short term and I'm looking to make short term profits every day for the purpose of putting those profits into a longer term portfolio. So right now, my real goal only is concentrating on building that portfolio, because I don't think that there is, you know, going to be a better time. This is the time in the market where I work my hardest, so that when everybody else comes in that we've said they're not here yet, I get to chill. You know, that's when I'm booking my vacation. When everybody else is FOMOing, we've already got our portfolio set.
Yeah, but like that's a great strategy, because I think like when everyone comes, a lot of chaos, a lot of sound, and
you want to stay away from it because it can really play with your head. And that's when all these stories come out about, oh, this person turned $1,000 into 5 million. You know, they don't tell you the other end when they couldn't cash that out, you know? So yeah, you got to avoid in that period.
Exactly. I think that was the entire crypto narrative, right? Like a get rich quickly.
Yeah.
And I remember like during the pandemic, I used to live in US, and when that checks arrived to people's mailbox, most people I know, they either went to casinos, like actual, you know, black and red, because they were like, oh, it's kind of a free money, let me do something. Others decided to invest either stock market, ETFs, and mainly crypto. Even though it was a good way, because it brought a lot of money and market share grew, and people, you know, because also people were bored at home. But yeah, when you have too much people, too much noise around, it becomes, there's no logic left, kind of.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, it's a shame, because those sorts of pump and dumps that get attention on social media, those are the things that bring new people into crypto. And it's a shame that that's the reason, because then those people never really learn about the true value of crypto and, you know, how there are technologies that are changing the world. And they don't care about that, because their attraction to crypto is, oh, I can make some quick money from this. But yeah, it ends up leading to getting burned anyway. And I always say to anyone in my community, your first bull market is your apprenticeship. Your first whole cycle is your apprenticeship. You shouldn't expect to make money. But if you learn the lessons from your first cycle and you stay around, you will benefit in the next cycle. So it's really it's an 8-year lesson before you're going to make some good money from it.
As a full-time trader.
I think as anything in crypto, whether you decide to be an investor or a trader, it doesn't matter, because human emotion, those pump and dumps are designed to invoke an emotion in you, right? To make you believe, oh, I could put $100 into Bitcoin, it might only 2x. Or I can go for this new dog named coin and I can make $1 million. I'm going to put my money there and bang, it's gone.
But then it's like buying a lottery ticket, right?
100%. Absolutely. There's 2 million cryptocurrencies. What are the chances of you picking the right one that's going to make you a billionaire? Pretty small.
Buy a lottery ticket.
Yeah, exactly. Buy a lottery ticket.
But going back, I think you mentioned a very important point, how you manage your assets. You have this like an investment portfolio, and then you have this trading portfolio. And you try to take that, profit and feed in your investment account. I think that's one thing that many people, especially the newcomers, they miss, because they always take all the money and they want to play with it and they get excited. Like, what is the right balance?
This is a great question. I'm really excited to answer this question, actually, because this comes up a lot. A lot of people will start learning to trade because they believe they want to be a full-time trader. And I'm probably the first trader to tell you, you don't want to be a full-time trader. It's boring. It is so boring to be.
So stressful.
It can be stressful, but even like when you get to the point that you have a consistent strategy, the thing is, once you have a consistent strategy, you don't actually need to trade that much. If you nail your strategy and you stick to your rules, you can make really decent money just doing a couple of trades a week, which means what the hell else are you going to do with the rest of your time, right? This is what I mean why it's so boring. You become good at trading when it becomes boring to you, right? So then if that's the case, who wants to live that life, right? Who wants to be bored every day? So you have to do something else. And this is what I'm driving home to my community right now, is saying, like, I know we're all sold into this dream of being a full-time. No one wants to be a full-time trader. People want freedom. That's different. It's very different. You can use trading to get freedom. Doesn't mean you have to be full-time. Like, it's not even possible. You can't trade 40 hours a week anyway, right? But what we want, and what we really need to realize that we want, is we want freedom. How do you get freedom? You get freedom by not being a financial gambler. A financial gambler is somebody who only earns money one way. And that can be through having one job, through having one business, which most people think, oh, I'm a business owner. Like, that's the way to financial. No, it's not. You're a gambler, because if something happened to that business in one day, if it was to, I don't know, some law came in that made your business illegal overnight, you've lost 100% of the ways that you make income. That makes you a financial gambler. Or being a trader, if that's the only thing you did. So what you actually need to create true financial freedom and freedom in your life, to be able to say, hey, I want to go to Iceland tomorrow and just book the ticket, is you need to have multiple sources of income. So I encourage my community to build businesses with their crypto profits. Everybody has a talent. Everybody has something that they're good at that somebody else wishes they were good at. That's a saleable product. You just have to figure out what it is. So you take your short-term trading. This is how I run my life. I take my short-term trading, I take the profits from that, and I rotate that into long-term investing, whatever it is at the time. Right now, the right thing to invest in my opinion, is crypto. For me personally, my strategy. So every trade I make is not for me to pay a bill with, or to buy dinner with, or to go. No, it's for me to funnel it into a investment portfolio for the next cycle. Once I feel that cycle is ending, that will rotate into the next investment. How do I live? By owning a business. So for me, what is my talent? I'm a world-class educator. I know how to teach people to trade in a way that makes it understandable for them. And I know that I'm good at that. I know that's my superpower. That's my business, right? That's my second source of income. And I think everybody, if you want true financial freedom, you need to be thinking, how many different ways can I make money so that if one falls down, it doesn't matter. It's not the end of you. You're not going into financial ruin. You've got these other things that you can rely on, building property portfolios, whatever it is. We should all be aiming to have. They say the average millionaire has, I think it's 7 different ways that they earn revenue. Why not us? Why don't we think of that? We think of one full-time job. Not in this world.
I think that was kind of over years, the narrative, right? You have one job, you make one money. And that's why even with the crypto, also back in time, like with the NFT hustle, it was like you do one thing and then you become super rich and you take the money and you go.
Yeah.
And no one ever talked about like a reinvesting.
They don't. Even just have, like, we're all taught as children, not children, but, you know, from a young age, we're taught that freedom is in owning a business. Like, it's the worst form of freedom ever because you have to manage everything all the time. You're 24/7. It's not fun at all. But if it's the only thing you do, it happened to me. I lost a business overnight. And I woke up the next day from being a millionaire to how the hell am I going to pay my bills tomorrow morning? Like, how am I going to keep a roof over my child's head? It was the worst feeling in the world and I couldn't control it. And that's when I learned I was a financial gambler. I put my heart and soul into that business because it was my passion. Now I'm like, doesn't matter if I have a passion, I need a safety net.
Yeah, I think it's also really important, like you mentioned, about freedom and then safety net, because for me it's always like freedom, as you mentioned, like having the different streams of the revenue, but also like I made some fortune when I was really young from the startup, and at some point I realized that now I need to do something not to lose this money, because it's not only about what kind of this money inflow you have, like what you do with that. Like you need to invest and you need to diversify. You need to have this long-term investment. Maybe they won't bring you 100x million, but sometimes not losing is already winning, because if you just have a printed dollars in your bank account, you listen to inflation.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like, I think that's like a one important aspect, like many people, in my opinion, kind of don't consider, is that yes, trading is really attractive, but as you mentioned, like maybe being a full-time trader is boring. And there are so many tools now, right? Even like copy trading, bots, artificial intelligence. Like you don't even need to do your own research. Just like things are happening for you if you want to play around. But also you need to think about like what kind of portfolio you could build to make sure that it's safe.
Exactly.
And now my question is like, what is your recommendation? Like, how do you kind of hedge your portfolio and make sure that you don't lose? Not only you gain, but you don't lose.
I mean, there's always going to be a chance that I lose and get it wrong. But the way that I manage my portfolios, I put everything in buckets. But I teach people to have buckets where I have a security bucket, which, you know, that is based on a multiple of your expenses monthly and dependent on the type of job you have. So if you have a job that is in high demand, that if you were to get fired tomorrow, you could easily get another job, you don't need to have as much money in your security bucket. But if you have a job that, you know, it's going to be difficult for you to find another job if something were to happen, or I put traders in the same bucket, because trading is, there's no guarantees. Like you could lose for a whole year, you know, you really could go backwards because it's so emotion based as well. If there's something else going on in your life, it could affect your results with trading for a long period of time. So to me, if you're a trader, I tell everyone you need to have 12 months of your expenses is your security bucket. So that's the first thing. And you don't touch that. You don't invest it. You don't risk it. It's a safety net to know I've got this to fall back on if everything else should fail, because it allows you, it lifts that stress off your shoulders of saying, I need to make X to pay my bills. It's their worst case scenario. The security bucket is always the first thing before you even think about investing. After that, there's a retirement portfolio. So I have a crypto retirement portfolio. The only thing that goes in there is proven things that have lasted through multiple cycles. And in this case, because crypto is like not really that long, doesn't have that many cycles, the only two things that fit the bill is Bitcoin and Ethereum. So they're the only two things that go into my retirement portfolio. And then I use stable coins in that portfolio as well, that sometimes I'll put into earn programs and stuff like that to earn some interest on that. So that helps me with the fluctuations of Bitcoin and ETH. But my retirement portfolio never sells. I never, ever, ever sell Bitcoin or Ethereum. I don't care if I have an 85% drawdown. I don't care. I'm always adding to that portfolio. In the long run, you know, I know it's going to come back. My only thought is, am I ever going to buy it back cheaper than the cheapest I ever bought it? And no.
Probably not.
I'm not. So I just keep going, and don't worry. There are times where I will stop adding to it. Like once we reach the previous all-time high, I don't continue adding to it. But in bear markets, like I double down to make up for that. So I have a retirement portfolio as the second one. Then I have what I call a bull market portfolio, which is when I believe that the bottom of the bear market is in. I always start accumulating Bitcoin and ETH in that first because they will obviously take off first. And then just other things. Usually I start with the top 10 and I start to build those slowly. I'm checking all the time when they become bullish against Bitcoin. Otherwise I might as well just have my money in Bitcoin. So once they start to turn around, they've bottomed out against Bitcoin, then I'll go into those, and then slowly I'll go into medium, and then finally low cap coins. But I work it all out dependent on the age, and I teach my community to do this as well. Like, you work out your portfolio dependent on your age and your responsibilities and how much actual free money you have that you can afford to invest. So it'll be a different percentage for everyone. I'm older, so I will be more heavily weighted towards having a conservative portfolio. But someone who's young, if they were to blow all of their money on crypto, they're going to be able to start again. They've got enough, it's not ideal, but they've got enough time in their life that they can start again. But you have to take into consideration where you personally are in your life to then decide how risky your portfolio can be. But with that particular portfolio, my bull market portfolio, that is the one that I sell and take profits on. And that is the one where, when everyone starts calling for higher prices, Bitcoin has passed its previous all-time high. That's where I'm selling at every 100% move. I'm taking profit out. So on the way up in a bull market, I'm exiting. I don't wait for the top to be in, have the big blow off top, the big drop, and then the retrace. I don't wait for that, because when the retracement comes, you're still going to convince yourself that it was just a higher low and we're still going up, and so I just don't, I do whatever it takes to get myself away from emotional thinking like that. And I do that by having a strategy well in advance. And my strategy is, I would rather be 90% out of the market by the time the blow off top comes than have to sit through that 40-50% drawdown and hope that there's a retracement before it goes even further. And so, yeah, those are the portfolios that I have. And so within having such a heavily structured portfolio, it allows me to invest in some degen coins, and play some of those gambles. But that will be 1% of my entire bull market portfolio. So it doesn't matter. If that goes to zero, it's okay, because Bitcoin and ETH and Solana and all of the other things on the other end are as safe as you can get in crypto, and they will make up for it. But I'm not going to put 100% of my funds into the degen coin hoping it turns into $100 million. You know what I mean?
That is a great strategy, but that's one very hard to follow, especially in crypto, because one thing that breaks my heart the most, I have a lot of friends who are buying and selling and trading, and the moment they start losing, they become very aggressive. And I saw people who went through their, the main investment portfolios in hopes to make it up the losses.
Yeah. Oh, look, the hardest thing about crypto in general is managing your emotions. Crypto itself is not difficult. Trading is not difficult. The hardest thing is managing your emotions. And people say that, fear and of loss and all that sort of stuff it's really, really takes a toll on your emotions. Greed is as bad. It's an equal scale. Loss is down here, fear, FOMO, and all that. Greed is here, and being neutral is right in the middle. You got to get to neutral. If you have sold out 90% of your portfolio towards the peak of the bull market, and everybody else is telling you you're an idiot, you have to be okay with that, because in the long run, you have to believe that you sold out at the right time.
Yeah, I think it's I want to go and look from another side, all my friends and family who always wanted to be in crypto.
Yeah.
What was the narrative? Oh, it's a bubble gonna burst. It's a bubble gonna burst. It's going up. Okay, I want to buy, but I will wait. If it goes, I don't know, to X amount, then I will buy. Oh, so it's going down. I don't want to buy.
Exactly. Look at the people that missed out on buying Bitcoin at, $15,000, $16,000 because they thought it was going to 12. It was a $3,000 difference. Buy it.
Last February, I was begging all my friends and family, please buy, please buy. Everyone's like, no, it was a bubble. It bursted going down. It was 60K. Now it's going to 12. And after all this ETF conversation, I start getting messages from friends where shall we start?
Yeah, I know. And look how much we've gone up since since back then when you were telling them to buy.
Double. More than double.
You know, like it's crazy.
Almost 3 times. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's 3x. Like it was 17, now it's 41.
Yeah.
It's almost there. Like
Yeah.
2.5 times.
Yeah.
It's a lot. If you just like
Exactly.
put your money into bank, it
Yeah,
won't happen.
exactly. What else has done that in the same amount of time? Nothing. And we're just talking about Bitcoin. What about everything else that has bottomed out, you know? Crazy.
Like, why people don't want to wait when it comes to crypto? Because every person I talk, especially there who are not in crypto, they always want to come in with $200, become a millionaire over the night.
Yeah. Because those are the stories that you hear on TikTok. You know, those are stories. Oh, this guy bought Shiba Inu, and you know, and that's what people are attracted to. That's what I was saying before. That's the shame about crypto, is that those stories are the things that bring new people into crypto. You know, because of greed, and nothing else is going to bring that money. But they don't really realize that it's a 1 in a million chance, and you're probably not going to be the person that walks away with $5 million from putting in $100.
I was like literally like 2-3 days ago on a Turkish media, there was this big news. The guy invested like a 300 or 400. Now he's like the coin went up. It's like a several millions.
Did he cash it out though?
The news ends.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I sit here biting my nails and I'm like, he can't cash out.
Can't cash
because now
out.
he holds too much.
I know, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Therefore, like, it's kind of being written on paper, like,
yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
Newsworthy, and people were like, oh, I wish, like, so many people text me like, oh, you work Bitget, you shall tell us, you know, where I'm like, I really don't know. I wish I had that sort of information.
You have inside info. I know.
Like, where if
I would work at an exchange if there was inside info.
No, if I could put like $100 and become a millionaire, like, why am I going to work every day?
Exactly.
like if I knew the secret, I would definitely do it for myself first. Like, why am I telling you?
Exactly.
Do you get such kind of requests from the people, especially like you're in trade, like you?
Yeah, people don't assume that I would be part of anything like that. I think because I've always tailored my channel to talk very specifically about Bitcoin, which is, you know, I'm not going to manipulate the price of Bitcoin. Like, you know what I mean? It's pretty obvious I'm not shilling it for that reason. But people will often ask me if I know about other people because by association. And yeah, like if they're doing something I don't want to know.
When we're talking about trade and emotion and control, I'm sure you had like a bigger wins and bigger losses.
Oh yeah.
And like, how do you, what was that you know, occasions, and like how did you manage like your mental health? I don't know that.
One thing, oh look, I went through it because when I decided to take trading really seriously, it was at the time that I had lost my businesses and I didn't have anything to fall back on, and I didn't want to go and work for someone. I've never worked for someone. Like in Australia, when you're in high school, we have, I don't know if this is a worldwide thing, but in Australia you have this thing called work experience. So when you're in the last year of school, you have to go and get a job. They put you out and you get 2 weeks, you work in some establishment, and it's like just to get experience of what it's like to work. I got fired from that. So I was not put on this earth.
It reminds me of the story of a Jack Ma when like a KFC came to China. He applies, like they take 9 out of 10 people and rejected him. Like, how did you manage that?
Yeah, I just was not made to like be told what to do, and so I realized very young, like I was not going to be an employee. It just wasn't the right path for me, and I got into running businesses pretty young. I got fired from the job, and I realized I was made to be an entrepreneur, and so that was my thing. But then when I lost that business, I was like, well, what am I going to do? Because I can't be an employee. Like I know it's not in my bones to work for someone else. And I don't want to start another business now because I was so emotionally damaged by what happened with that business that I was like, I don't want to work with people. I don't want to know anyone. Like I don't want to trust anyone again. And so I thought, what am I going to do? And because I'd had that success with trading, you know, just for fun, that's when I decided, what if I take this seriously? Like, I've made money with this as a hobby. If I take it seriously, maybe it can be the thing that, fuels my life, and then I don't need to ever have another business. And I did that for 6 months. And that's when I reached the boredom stage. And I was like, okay, this is great. I wake up every day, I open a screen, I look at a chart, I place a trade, I make money, and I've done nothing else with my day. It's so boring. And I got everything I asked for. I didn't want to speak to people. I didn't want to have to manage people. I didn't want I didn't want and the universe delivered everything I asked for. And then I was bored. And so that's why I say to people, you think you want to be a full-time trader, but you don't really, because it's very boring. And that's when I ended up, having to go through my period of like, there's two things in life that we aim for that we don't really realize. If people want wealth, and they generally want wealth because they want freedom, right? And in order to get freedom, you have to build wealth, right? That's the one thing that we tend to focus on because it's the hardest thing to get. But what they don't realize is that if that's all you focus on and if that's all you get, there's this other side that you've probably never thought about. And that's the side that keeps depression away, and that is fulfillment. We can't live a happy life with just wealth and no fulfillment. That's why you hear about people say, oh, money doesn't make you happy. No, it doesn't. If you're making money just to make money, it doesn't make you happy. You need to be fulfilled. And that's what I realized when I was sitting at home, trading every day, making money and not needing to talk. I felt selfish.
That's why you start traveling.
No. Well, that's why I ended up going on YouTube and starting to teach people how to trade, because it was my way to give back to people, to give back to the universe, to say, okay, I've gained this skill. It's given me what I wanted, but like I'm not happy. I don't feel fulfilled. I feel fulfilled when I see other people win. And that's when I decided, okay, well, I've got to teach what I've learned now. And so, yeah, that's how that all kind of came about. But the lesson that I learned along the way in order to be able to get to that stage, what you said before, was I realized, a lot of people say that trading is 20% skill, 80% psychology. In order for me to get to that point of being able to live off trading fast, I had to focus on the 80%. Whereas where most people go wrong is focusing on the skill. So they'll learn to trade, they'll learn somebody's strategy, and they'll put 14 hours a day into trying to nail that strategy. It doesn't work for them. They blame the strategy. Then they move on to the next one and the next one. And their cycle just keeps going. And what they've realized is like they're only working on the 20%. The reason it's not working is not the strategy. A high percentage of strategies will work. They will be profitable strategies. But there's something that is forcing you to make mistakes, or for you to change the rules, or for you to just make bad decisions. Where's that? That's in the 80%. So you have to work on your psychology first. And so that was my biggest lesson was in order for me to get good fast, I had to focus on the psychology. And so I got myself a mindset coach and a psychologist, and I worked with both of them at the same time whilst I was learning to become a profitable leverage trader. And that was how I was able to speed up the process to get to what people would call full-time trading. But it wouldn't have happened if I didn't think that, if I didn't think about that statistic and I didn't take working on my money mindset seriously. So therefore, when it came to having big losses and whatnot, I was able to recover from them a lot quicker because I realized money is just energy. And if my energy vibrates down here, I'm not going to attract money. So I have to keep elevated at all times. Whether I have a loss is just a lesson. Money is just numbers on a screen. That's it. And just take all of that emotion out and now, okay, cool. It's just numbers on a screen. I lost some numbers on the screen. Don't vibrate down here because you'll lose more numbers. You vibrate up here. It'll come. What's the lesson? Why did that happen? Move on. It's behind you now. You can't change it. You can't undo it. It's behind you. What can I do moving forward? I often see a lot of people really dwell on trades that go bad and they're like, oh, I'm never going to get this, or in hindsight, it was obvious. It's happened. Move on. Like, learn why it happened. Put it on your list of things not to do in the future, and what's next. That's how we keep moving forward. The mindset was 100% like the number one way that I could get through everything, move on, and actually make it.
Like, how does day trading work? For example, today you tell, okay, I need to earn $1,000 and then I close my
No.
positions, or this month, this like
Yeah.
where that because I think especially like with the trading, I don't know, all this like a when you touch too much money,
Yeah.
you get that,
Yeah.
like I can do more. Where does that
Yeah,
doing more
yeah.
stops?
No. So I'm opposite. So I never ever think about the money. I couldn't even tell you a dollar figure of what I would make per trade. The only thing I look at on the screen is the percentage, and I'm looking at the risk to reward on my trading view. And that's all that matters to me is the percentage increase in my account. As long as I'm doing that, I'm compounding my gains, and, compounding wealth is what we want to do. The only time I look at the money is at the end of the month when I'm withdrawing to invest. I don't think about you cannot put that pressure on yourself of I need to make X dollars per day as a day trader. But it's not possible. There are going to be days where there is no trade to take. There's going to be days where you missed it because you're asleep. What are you going to do? There's going to be days where you decided to take a day off and then the market made a massive move and now you're like, oh, if I didn't go out with my girlfriend, like, oh, you got to live, you got to live as well. So yeah, you can't put that much pressure on yourself. I find that's when it goes wrong. You need to not judge yourself per trade, but judge yourself per set of trades and look at averages overall. Not I need to make X per day or X per month. Anytime you put the word need into trading, you are doing a disservice to yourself because you're putting pressure on yourself, and pressure forces you to make bad decisions because that's when FOMO kicks in. That's when greed kicks in. You might be in a really good trade that's like you really should take profit on, but you want to make $5,000 that day and you've made 4,800 and you're like, oh, hold a little bit longer. And then bang, a big liquidation hunt comes and it's all gone, So you can't think like that. You have to it's about percentages. Did it hit the target you thought it was going to hit? Take a profit run, have a day off. If I hit a monthly percentage really early, I'll usually take the rest of the month off. I don't trade at all. Whereas a lot of people go, okay, double down now, make more. And I'm like, I'm okay.
That's the thing. I think like when you try to like make more and make more, you lose out in the life.
Exactly. You give it all back. That's the worst things when you have a really good trade. That's why I was saying to you, greed is just as bad as fear, because you could have a really good trade and it releases these endorphins in you. You're like all the happy things happen to you and then you're like, oh, what's next? And then you overdo it and give it all back. The best thing you can do when you take profit on the trade is close the computer.
And also, like, I think best thing when you have that profit is to understand what you want to do next with that profit.
Yeah.
Like, also, like, I think one of the biggest mistakes, like, people just like make their pool bigger and they trade with bigger money without actually taking a portion out and reinvesting or at least enjoying it.
Exactly. And, it makes you feel good if you do reward yourself for good work. Just take something out and do something with it. But yeah, it is hard in the beginning when you're trying to use trading to compound your trading account to make it bigger. But you can still do that and just every now and then take a little bit out and do something fun.
But what do you think like today? Because like crypto market is like evolving so fast. It's not the same market that, was like even 2 years, even 6 months ago. Like what's a good money to start?
I tell people, like, if you're wanting to learn to futures trade or short-term trade, I think you should, be willing to spend a minimum $1,000 into an account as a practice account, meaning you're willing to blow $1,000.
And learning money. $1,000 lesson.
Yeah, 100%. And if you think about it, you would pay more than that for uni. So,
Definitely. And like when that trades happen, for example, I came with my $1,000. What's like a next step? What would you recommend me to do?
I think the first thing you should do is if you're wanting to learn to day trade, the first goal should be turn that 1,000 into 10,000. And you don't do anything else until you can do that. And you probably won't. You'll probably blow it first. And, some people say, which is not a bad idea, to take the 1,000 but divide it in two. So you essentially start with 500 because you're going to blow that 500. Now you've got another 500 you can put back in and you've got lessons. That's not a bad strategy either. But you shouldn't think of anything else until you are at the stage where you can, using proper risk management, turn 1,000 into 10,000. Then you can think about putting more funds in or something like that, so that your account is bigger and your profits turn out to be bigger. But before that, you shouldn't. If you want to start bigger, you shouldn't do that either, because whatever you first put into crypto, you're going to blow. You're going to lose it.
And what do you think, in your experience, like how long it takes to become a good, profitable trader? Like some always say, like it's the first 6 months or like a first year or first bull run.
Look, I don't think you can call yourself I would say the word professional, but it's not really professional. I don't think you can call yourself an advanced trader or a consistently profitable trader until you've been through an entire cycle. I know many traders that will do really, really well in one part of the cycle. Like they can only trade the bull market. That's not actual skill, guys. Like, anyone can do that. But come a bear market, they flop. And now you got to wait 18 months, 2 years before you can be profitable again because you didn't master the skill in that cycle. The worst cycle is the accumulation phase, because day one is bullish, next day is bearish. You have to flip-flop all the time because we're just sideways essentially on a macro scale. That's the best time to learn, is the accumulation phase, because it teaches you not to have a bias because every day is different. But I think as far as like how long to become profitable, what I've found is that it really depends on what else takes your time in your life. So if you have a job that takes many, many hours, or say you're a stay-at-home parent with a few young children and that they take all your time, they're not at school yet, it's very, very hard to get good fast because you have so many distractions and so many things that take you away. And a lot of the times you'll be at work when the market moves. So it's harder to learn the lessons when you have other things in life that have to come first. But if you can dedicate 100% of your time, which that was the gold at the end of the rainbow for me, was, I lost my business overnight and it was devastating and it was horrible. But the silver lining was I had 100% of my time all day, every day to learn to get good fast. And so I was blessed in that way. I didn't have any other distractions, So if you're in a situation where you can dedicate a lot of time and you can master your emotions, then you can get better faster. Like that would be a person who probably could get there within 6 months. But it's the two-part. It's the time and the emotions. And so if you can nail both of those, you can get good fast. But if you're trying to learn to trade whilst, running a business, looking after a family, having full-time, it's probably going to take a couple years minimum.
I think like in the beginning, we were talking about the importance of having like a different revenue streams. I know average billionaire has like 7 businesses.
Yeah.
And now we are like, okay, but you also need to like a focus on dedication, especially in like a learning phase.
Yeah.
Like, is there like a step-by-step kind of an introduction way where you don't even have to, start learning trading, but maybe you'll do a little bit copy trading to see where it takes, or how one can, slowly get into it, especially because you went through this drastic experience where you lost everything in one night. The next morning, you have nothing to do. You're like, okay, let me do something. I think that kind of experience, because what I'm saying is like, I remember like when I finished uni first time, the next morning I woke up and I'm like, okay, what am I doing now? Like I already secured a job and I was okay, but like until the job starts, like you kind of in the like this transition phase. But many people don't go through that, right? They work, they put that money a little bit, they start trading, and people want that safety. Therefore, they don't want to leave the job, come to trading.
I think I don't necessarily know if copy trading is the answer. It might be, but you would still have to know how to find a good person to copy, right? And I don't know how you would do that research to find them. Copy trading is probably okay if you trust the traders that you're going to copy. But I think everybody should start setting a dollar cost average portfolio. Like that's what you should do, especially in this stage of the cycle. Just start, even if it's $10 a week that just goes into Bitcoin and Ethereum, maybe Solana, whatever you like, that's automated because it takes the pressure off. It's buying little bit by little bit over time in a good part of the cycle. whilst you're learning to trade. And so if there are days that you can't trade, you know, for 3-4 days because you're busy, there's a little bit of sort of relief there that says, oh, at least I have this portfolio that's making me money overall. So that takes the pressure off. But also when it comes to time, like the biggest thing with people is when they want to learn, you go through this phase of like just going all in. And I know because I did it and I see everyone do it. They don't want to leave a chart in case the move comes. And, you know, you'll be at work and you've got like your phone screen down here, you know, and you're like one eye on the screen in case a big green candle comes, and you're just trying to, I don't know, look while you're driving, which is even worse. But everybody does it, and it's not healthy. It's not a healthy way to learn. That's why the strategy that I trade is very much based on timing. I worked out that crypto market moves very similar to the Forex market, and the Forex market is there's certain times of the day that things are going to happen. So, and it's only a 2-hour period. So if you can sort of allocate your time in your day to that 2-hour period, that's like you have 2 chances a day, whether you do that in the first 2 hours or the last 2 hours, then it doesn't matter where you are in the world. If you can create a schedule for yourself that will allow you to be free in that time of the day, you'll be able to get the trade, and you don't have to sit in front of the computer for 12 hours waiting for it because you know what time is coming, you know? So learning how the Forex market operates has really helped me with my crypto and allowed me to not have to watch charts. Like my full-time trading is 2 hours, 3 days a week.
That's a part-time job. You can't call yourself like a full-time trader.
But that's what I mean. Like people say, oh, it's rubbish. You're not a full-time trader because I'm not spending 40 hours in front of a computer. And no, I'm not. But I make a full-time wage. You know what I mean?
Yes,
like I think
that,
money.
that sounds like an ideal position regarding, you know, like.
Yeah. Like, huge insult to me. I'm not a full-time trader, but no, like I can just pick up and do whatever I want, whenever I want, and all my days are free.
That I think that's the best, like an ideal scenario for.
Yeah, and that's freedom, right?
That's a freedom. If you just work 3 days, because we want, like in the news it goes like, we'll start having like a 4-day work week, and that will be like kind of more time, or all this, you know, work-life balance, and I don't answer my emails after 5 p.m. because people want to reclaim the time we do. And for a long time, you know, not sleeping at night and working longer hours was promoted as if, you know, you are doing the right thing.
Oh, I hate hustle culture. Anyone who knows me knows I hate hustle culture. I do not believe that you have to work like a slave, that you have to get no sleep, you know, you have to be in a high stress environment to make money. That is absolute rubbish. You will make better money if you're balanced.
Perfect. Then the way to freedom and chill is balance.
Well, that's why we're trade, travel, chill, right? Like the chill is important. Even in my Discord, the weekend comes, Friday UK session is when we stop trading. Friday UK, goodbye guys. I'll see you Sunday night when the market reopens. And no one's in there. We're all living our life. And they love it because they get to step away from a computer. And when you come back, you're refreshed and you're ready to start a new week and make good decisions.
Perfect. Today we were talking about travel, trade, and chill with Annii, and I was your host at Bitget Show, Vugar Usi.